Racism towards Black people and appropriation of Black culture is something that is prevalent in many niche genres of music, such as the K-pop music industry. You would think that because of how K-pop has received a lot of global attention and has garnered a lot of Black fans, idols would be more careful in making sure their actions and words, or clothing choices for that matter, won't be perceived as racist. But unfortunately, that is far from the case. It feels like every other month another idol gets exposed for doing something racist. We have the likes of Tarzan, who thinks he's doing the Black community a favor by acting like he's part of the quote-unquote gang. I haven't been updated on what's happening with All Day Project. In fact, I only remember they exist when the topic of most racist idols ever comes up. But I've seen people saying that he has toned it down a bit. But that doesn't matter. It was obvious that they were using the whole thing to create more noise for the group. And it did work for a while. But that doesn't change the fact that Tarzan's actions were very harmful to the Black community, and he has also never given an apology. Not even a PR one, which again keeps proving my own theory that the guy still doesn't understand why his actions are so problematic, and that is really concerning. But the real point of making this video is that I've seen a lot of fans, people who stan the likes of Tarzan and Kiss of Life, complain why their faves get more hate than other idols, especially ones from second and third gen, who also did things that could be considered racist towards Black people. Things like saying the N-word while singing along to songs, or making fun of some of their group members for having a darker skin complexion. There's honestly a lot of things. But the thing is, some of the groups that did that are still thriving in the industry, with majority of the fans having forgiven them and putting it past them, which hasn't been the case for Kiss of Life. After that birthday live, things went downhill for their career, and they still haven't even come close to recovering. I actually consider what happened to Kiss of Life the first ever effective cancellation to ever happen in K-pop. And as for Tarzan, any chance he had of actually being successful outside of Korea and East Asia has gone down by at least 80%. I doubt they even have a chance in Korea, considering it looks like everyone has kind of moved on from them. But what do I know? Miracles can happen. Now comes the important part, where I tell you guys that I am a Black person, and I am not speaking for the whole community, but from my own personal experiences and perspective. I personally can overlook some things that idols have done, but only if it was like during the early 2000s when the internet wasn't a thing yet. It's not because I don't think they were harmful, they were. In fact, if an idol does the same now, I will definitely hold them in contempt. What makes a difference for me is that back then, information wasn't easy to come by, especially when it involves things that you're not supposed to do to not disrespect another community. As a kid, I remember doing a lot of things that would horrify adult me, things that would be considered as racist. But at the time, I wasn't doing it with any malicious intent. I just did it because I saw other people doing it and thought it was normal or cool. It was something that was normalized by people around me. And when I did those things, no one ever came to me and was like, "Don't do that, it's racist." So obviously, I didn't think anything of it. But later on in life, thanks to social media, I learned that what I was doing was bad. I'm not saying that I shouldn't be held accountable. I should. What I did was ignorant, and being ignorant causes you to do a lot of dumb, stupid things. And the more you think about it, most of the idols who did things like say the N-word back then were probably in a situation similar to my own. Korea has always been a homogenous society, and back then it was even worse. So there weren't a lot of Black people spreading awareness about things and actions that are disrespectful to the Black community. And let's consider that most of these idols were really young back then, and the only guidance they had were company staff and executives telling them what to do to embody the vibe of a hip-hop artist. And it's not like they had Black employees. K-pop companies love Black music, but employing and crediting Black people is a whole other thing. As for the fans, well, back then it was mostly other Koreans and East Asians who listened to K-pop. International fans were rare, and ones who were Black were even rarer. Even if they found something controversial, there simply wasn't enough of them to have a voice that mattered enough to force intervention from the labels. But that was back then, and also just to clarify, when I say I can look over some things, I mean something like saying the N word in a song, not as a slur or something like doing blackface or saying something derogatory. Given the context, those are completely different things. But as I said, right now, things are different. K pop isn't as closed off as it was before, not to mention the fact that social media has made it infinitely better to be aware about these types of things. There is literally no excuse. No more justifying their actions with they didn't know or having a whole rant about Korean culture. Yes, I know that some things are just taken out of context by malicious people who want to bring them down, but sometimes it is just so obvious that they know what they're doing. Kiss of Life is a perfect example of that. As I said before, Julie had a whole N word scandal during debut, and she released a full apology talking about how she'll do better, how she'll educate herself, only for the birthday live to happen. Instead of getting better, she got worse. Like, way worse. She knew that they were going to get hate for the live, but she still did it. I don't care how many apologies she'll put out, it won't ever make a difference to me. This coming from someone who had been supporting them from debut. It's safe to assume that all these idols have at the very least access to the internet. So would it kill them to do a little bit of research on how to not disrespect people from other races and other communities? I promise it is not that hard. If you want to be a public figure, someone with a lot of fans and influence, then this is literally the first thing you should do. You cannot expect to have a fandom that cares about you if you, as the idol, do not care about them at all. Also, let's not forget the companies, because they are the ones signing off on most of these things. You cannot expect to want your group to be globally famous if you don't bother to educate them on how to not be racially insensitive. Here's the other thing. It's not just Black culture, it's almost every other culture that seems to be trending that month. There is a clear line between cultural appropriation and cultural appreciation, and the K-pop industry keeps losing track of this line. Is it so hard to go to the source rather than trying to replicate? Is it so hard to give credit rather than to steal and act like you created it? It's really not a nice experience as a Black person to go about standing a group only to find out that the members are kind of racist. It's even worse to realize that the only reason they're doing that is to generate buzz and get more attention. But anyway, there's the answer as to why newly debuted idol groups get more hate for racist allegations than idols from the third and second generation.